Have you ever been in a situation where you think you know what you're thinking about, and then someone says something, or you read something and you go, I don't even know what this is anymore? Or do you manage your finances, your life by podcasts, books, or the coffee center? Interesting questions, aren't there? Hi, Floyd Shilanski with On Your Final Retirement. Give me a minute and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some myths, about some certain things, and a way to kind of get your head straight with what I hope you want to do getting ready to retire. With the big, beautiful bill that was just recently passed, there's been a lot of confusion. And I can't tell you the amount of emails, articles, white papers that I've read, and I know the office has read even more, that talk about myths. Social Security is going away. Social Security is not going to be taxable anymore. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the interesting thing, and I always tell the young people that I mentor and are my clients, is the first thing we've got to do when we get all this information, get the big fans out, hit them on medium, and blow the smoke away. Because so much of what we're talking about is smoke and mirrors, all right? Is Social Security going to go away? Maybe, but probably not. That's an institutional program that's been around since the 1929s, and I don't think they're going to take it away. Will it be modified? Without a doubt. And in fact, this last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, we've seen language come out of the House that they want to now, as I've said over and over and over, they want to make the Social Security tax apply to all earned income. That way, everyone gets hit. In the prior administration, you may remember that they said anyone, taxpayers making over $400,000 a year, they would be subject to a higher rate. And that's okay. I get it, but it's not enough. Everyone needs to have skin in the game. So I think you're going to see that happen. Now, in 19 or 2030, I'm bad about saying that 19 anymore. In 2032, Social Security today will not be able to fund full benefits. That's just a fact unless we do something to change. And I think the administration is going to work to change that. Second thing I've heard a lot about is that, hey, during the great big beautiful bill, Social Security was supposed to be tax-free. Well, that's interesting because Social Security could be tax-free if you got your income low enough, all right? So play with words there, if you will. But the other part of it is seniors now over the age of 65, we are getting a $6,000 exemption for Social Security, but it phases out very quickly. So this isn't for the rich. This isn't for the people making, $150,000, $300,000 a year and drawing Social Security. They're not going to get much of a benefit out of that. It is simply redirected down to the lower income classes in the taxable account, right? So important to understand that. Now, one of the things that I have been an advocate for years, number one, don't plan on Social Security when you retire. If it's there, great. If not, so be it. All right. And number two is always, always, always track. Always track, especially when you change jobs, track your Social Security benefits. If there is an error in your benefit, you got like 18 months to fix it. If you wait until you're ready to retire 40 years later, you may miss something. Now, what does that mean? When you get your W-2 from your employer, all right, and it'll tell you, your gross wages, Social Security wages, and it says how much has been withheld for Social Security, always track those numbers. And then log on to ssa.gov, and they're not quick. So you're looking now in 2025, you're going to see 23 numbers and maybe 24 numbers, but you won't see 25. So sometimes it's 12 months behind. So I always encourage my clients, run the report, tack it to your W-2, put it in your file, keep track of it. Very, very important. All right. I know, again, my opinion is Social Security is not going to go away. Will there be modifications? The answer is yes. All right. Another myth out there is with all these changes, how do I calculate my benefits? It's simple. Go into ssa.gov, pull down that report, look at it, and it'll calculate it. All right. I once had an engineer go through and did it manually. And if you want, ask me to send you that formula. I can give you the exact formula how to calculate your earnings and what your potential earnings will be when you get ready to retire. It's not worth it. This engineer spent 4 days, come back and said, Floyd, they were wrong. And I said, how much? He says, 2 cents. Okay. If that's a whole lot of money for you that you can turn with, by all means, I wouldn't worry about 2 cents personally, but that's just me. All right. You need to pay attention for sure. Can you increase your Social Security payout? Now, interesting, Social Security payout does get increased every year by something called cost of living adjustment. And we have seen as much as a 7% a couple of years ago. Now, if you delay taking Social Security from your full retirement age, and most people today listening to this are going to be age 67 at their full retirement age, every year that you delay, you pick up an additional 0.08% of revenue. So you get more money. Now, if you continue to work after your FRA, you're going to get an increase because of the wages you pay into it, but you're also going to get on top of that, this COLA. And that goes all the way out until you reach max retirement age, which today is currently age 70. So yes, you can increase that. If you go to work after your full retirement age and you're drawing Social Security and you're still paying in FICA taxes, that will increase it every year. I do that right now. I'm over 73. I'm still doing what I do best and I love to do, and I still get a paycheck for it. So every year I get a recalculation of my Social Security benefits as well as a cost of living adjustments. All right. So it's important to understand the power of that. You know, a lot of confusion comes in when we get into the families that are mixed marriages or lost a husband several years ago or a spouse several years ago. And the question becomes, who can I claim my Social Security on? Well, a lot of widows and widowers think they claim on theirs first, which is a fair example, all right? But we have to go dig in just a little bit more. If the deceased spouse or the divorced spouse has had a higher earning capacity and you were married over 10 years and you're not remarried, you may be subject to 50% of that ex-spouse's Social Security benefits. And some people, I've had clients say, I really don't want to do that because I don't want them to know. Well, interesting enough, Social Security will never inform that ex-spouse. If you're qualified for it, you're going to get the money. Recently met with a lady, worked hard all of her lives. Her Social Security was not a lot of money, $1,500 a month, I believe. And her ex had been a doctor, became a surgeon, and now he's in private practice and he's retired. So I said, why don't you get half of his? And she was very, very distraught. So I said, let's just find out what it was. All right. So interesting, her $1,500 a month got bumped up to $2,800 a month. Of course, she gave away the $1,500, but it's a pretty substantial pay raise. And the ex didn't know anything about it. So that worked out pretty well for her. So as a planner, as they go through the retirement processes, we always ask, have you been married before? Yes. Do you have a divorce certificate? No. Let's look at that. Let's look at the decree and see what the ex is qualified for, whether it's part of the pension when you get ready to retire or Social Security. So we think that's extremely important. Knowledge is so much power. You just have to pay attention. You know, I used to say it was Churchill, but I've been informed Eleanor Roosevelt has this quote: "It's not what you think you know is so, it's what you think you know that just isn't so." So this is Floyd with Plan Your Federal Retirement. Let's talk a lot about Social Security, the myths out there. If you get something and you go, I read this, I don't understand it, or your buddy says this and they don't understand it, pick up the phone. Call Plan Your Federal Retirement. Ask to speak to myself. Ask to speak to one of the advisors. We'll be happy to walk through and solve that myth for you. So until next time, don't worry about Social Security too much, and happy planning.
The content in Plan Your Federal Retirement is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered individualized advice. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal, and past performance does not guarantee future results. Guests are not affiliated with CWM LLC Investment Advisory Services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Plan Your Federal Retirement is not affiliated with the federal government.